Chapter 4. To Oliver. Map, rations, yep, I think that's everything. Satisfied with my packing, I hurried down the stairs just as Mom was rereading the letter of recommendation she'd finished. Ah, Aura, all prepared?
Right.
I sure am. How's the letter? I just show it to Agent Valerie Guild, right? The Agent Valerie Guild was one of the most prestigious orders in Asteria. It consisted of knights who served the Sun and Moon Council, but also did non-military work. Oliver was the central hub for all of their activity. Mom had been part of the guild all of her life, so her name was well known among the younger generations of knights. Right, as long as a formal knight recommends you, it shouldn't be hard to earn the rank. Hopefully they didn't change any of the requirements. Excited, I snatched up the letter and read the beginning. I, Lady Andrine Bayard, former captain of the guard, Turku Pulier of the 3rd Cavalry Line of... Mom, your titles and credentials are longer than the actual recommendation. But I guess it helps since I've been trained under you. I returned the letter so she could officially seal it, then promptly tucked it into my bag, making sure it wouldn't get crinkled. The Merchant Ventures carriage should be ready. They already know the escort arrangements, and your father is making sure your friends don't get into too much trouble. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Let's do this.
Anyway, let's get going. You're gonna see your daughter off on her grand adventure after all. I eagerly rushed out the door, not wanting to make the others wait any longer. Wait, Aura? Yes? Well, originally I was going to cancel this whole arrangement. Oh, why? The merchant was rather vague about the contents he was carrying. I usually like to confirm everything with my own eyes, since it's not just for their safety, but also mine and that of any other escorts. I doubt the package will contain monsters or anything sinister. Are you sure you're not overreacting? I mean, this is your daughter getting involved. She paused and mulled over my suggestion carefully. True, it may be my overprotectiveness. This is the first time my daughter will go off on her own after all. She nodded, mostly to herself, and I accepted her agreement.
Right.
Right. Thanks for organizing everything. Now come on. As expected, Dad, Kerr, and Ilmari were at the edge of Barry, with the carriage stationary on the main road. Kerr paced around while Ilmari chatted happily with my dad. The coachman waved to acknowledge us, and I approached the open window of the vehicle. A middle-aged man sat amongst the silks and pillows, which suggested I was protecting a wealthy merchant. Mr. Ormande, is it? I'm Auralee, and my companions and I will be escorting you to Oliver. I assure you we're trained and you'll get there unharmed. The others are well versed in magic. I was pretty confident about that assumption, at least. He nodded, and I was unsure if he was nervous or just reserved. Thank you. Shall we get off straight away? Ah, of course. It's no problem. I glanced down and saw an ornate box. It was long and narrow, and I tried to fathom what was so important that needed to higher protection. Maybe it was a sword? I wanted to ask about the contents, but decided against it. My priority was getting to Oliver. The quicker, the better. I made a mental apology to my mother, rationalizing she was worrying over nothing.
Let's do this.
All right, it seems everything is ready. We're moving out. I energetically motioned to the others, then exchanged hugs with my parents. I promise I won't be gone for too long. I'll definitely be back in time for the harvest. As we departed, my mom cupped her hands around her mouth. And remember, be sure to check every barrel, crate, and chest in town. The residents won't mind if you find something useful. Mom, I'm pretty sure that's stealing. Speaking of which, teach your companions the concept of pay. We don't want them accidentally pilfering apples or the like. Oh gosh, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Pay? Just don't take stuff, especially if it seems like it belongs to other people. But your mom just said... Don't mind what she said. And Kerr, you're too far ahead. Not a professional start, thanks, Kerr. The merchant probably heard that they didn't understand pay either. Thank you, family. We hadn't even left the village, and already my mind was swarming with worrisome thoughts about the journey. No, just focus on the mission, it'll run smoothly, and everything will be fine once we reach Oliver. I reached into the bag and touched a letter for comfort, making sure it was still there. Feeling my confidence returning, I straightened my back and gazed boldly beyond the road. Finally, my dreams will come to fruition. The journey so far gone off without a hitch. We're passing through a rockier area with the forest pressing against us on both sides of the road. There was still much greenery, but some trees already showed the early signs of autumn with yellowed leaves. Ilmari and I were ahead of the two-horse carriage, while Kerr was content with shadowing the vehicle. History and politics were never my forte, and my brain strained to answer Ilmari's endless questions, but I would perk up if they had anything to do with knights. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of those times.
I have a question.
So, the council, each town has a representative, and they come together in Oliver to help govern? Pretty much. They do things like build bridges, schools, or improve the agriculture. We have a similar system between the wise dragons. They use their knowledge of the past to help shape our future. Hey Murray, have you been picking up activity for the past hour or so? Ilmari.
Well...
And yes, I have, but I wasn't sure if it should be brought up at all. Activity? Are we being followed? The two exchanged glances, with Ilmari appearing more apologetic than Kerr.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I should have said something. I wish you had your hearings abilities, but still, I feel so inattentive. I surveyed the forest, noting any jutting cliff sides, if we were to be ambushed. How many? I don't know, 5 or 6?
Oh.
Do you think these followers have a malicious agenda? I don't think Heavenkind would be the hostile type. Well, I wish I could say everything was peaceful, but disputes and fights still arise. There's always exceptions. Dragonkinds are generally harmonious, but clashes still occur. Especially when dominant young males are expanding their territories and they happen to overlap. It can get quite intense and scary. Not speaking from experience or anything. Of course not. I never assumed.
Annoying.
Ugh, weak. Wait. He stared hard at Ilmari, then his eyes widened in recognition. We have met. Kerr let out a boisterous laugh, clearly amused by the whole situation. Sorry about that. Territorial instinct. That lake had a nice beach. I stepped between them before any more tension could arise.
Stay focused.
Can we save the border debate for another time? Right now we have to focus on the people pursuing us. I wish you told me sooner, but at least now we can anticipate any attacks. Let's keep it from Coachman and our client. We'll feign ignorance in the meantime and hope nothing bad will come out of this. I'd rather avoid a battle if possible. Realizing we've been standing around, we assumed our march. As I adjusted the backstrap over my shoulder, I glanced discreetly into the woods. Kerr, Ilmari, what is your fighting experience? We could probably take them in a dragon form. Ugh, this body. Ilmari shook his head resolutely.
I'd rather not.
I'm not doing anything like that. Moreover, I'm an Urius. I wouldn't do well on land. I know some magic, so I can be a good support.
Bring it.
I'll be fine fighting directly.
Right.
At least you can walk without any problems. And I have my sword, along with some focusing techniques. At least we were balanced enough, and my focusing techniques would help them in a fight in optional condition. Ilmari's ears perked up, and he shifted nervously while Kerr grit his teeth. They're moving swiftly. They're probably planning to launch an assault once we advance a little further. I think they're positioning themselves by that outcrop. When we get there.
Let's do
All right.
this.
They think they have the element of surprise. Prepare yourselves. Sounds like there's more than 5 now. I could feel my stomach lurch as we neared the destination, and I already had my hand on my sword hilt. Calm down. A knight wouldn't be afraid. I gulped and then chided myself mentally, shaking those thoughts from my head. I reminded myself that I was not a coward. I mentally concentrated on a spell that helped refresh and restore some vigor to my body. It would increase my strength temporarily. Once the outcrop loomed over us, there was a moment of uneasy stillness before a swift wet wind swept through the trees. Ooh. Ah! What? A muscle-bound man landed directly on top of the carriage, shaking it violently and causing the horses to rear up. The coachman tried to settle them down as the attacker leapt off the vehicle, unsheathing his sword. I dashed over and directed his attention to me before he could rip off the door. Our weapons clashed, and I clenched my teeth as I successfully pushed him away from the carriage. I heard the scuffling of feet as more men emerged from the forest, and my heart plummeted. We were outnumbered nearly 3 to 1. Not only that, all of the attackers seemed too organized to be a mere bandit group. My opponent's sword fighting was refined, and their outfits too proper. Not to mention that they had followed us for some time, according to Kerr and Ilmari. Take that! I dodged one of his slashes and knocked him down with the blunt side of my sword. I did not want to resort to taking a life if I could help it. I saw Kerr lunge forward and awkwardly slap one of the guy's faces, like he was in a catfight. It looked painful, but it was not an effective strategy. Claws. He's used to battling with claws. I tried to approach Kerr, but was stopped by another foe. I parried just in time, but could feel the axe whistling past my arm. Kerr, punch them! Make a fist! What? The axeman swung again. I ducked and then charged forward, bringing up my left hand. Like this! My fist struck the opponent's cheek, causing him to stumble back. Pain shot through my arm, and it took all my effort not to drop my sword and cradle my poor hand. Like that.
Bring it.
Right. Kerr delivered a hearty punch. This time it sent the opponent flying. He glanced at his fist in bafflement and smirked. Not bad. I can get used to this. As Kerr jumped up into the fray, I heard Ilmari apologizing loudly. A burst of water streamed forth from his hands, toppling someone who tried to run up to him.
Take this.
4 down, 4 to go. A few men that had gotten back up were now second-guessing themselves, while the more stubborn ones tried a round 2. I was engaged in another sword fight. I stepped back and felt my shoulders bump into someone. I glanced up in the heat of battle and spotted Kerr, who looked down at me. The heat of battle? That reminded me. I assure you the spell won't wear off for my clothes. It's just that I don't want to glance back during, I don't know, the heat of battle and catch you stark naked. Really? Heh. Before we could stop ourselves, we burst out laughing, confusing the challengers that surrounded us.
Please stop.
Why are you two laughing? Help me! Ilmari retreated to the other side of the carriage as he struggled to conjure a spell. Kerr was still chuckling, knocked another man out, and darted around the carriage while I was locked with the second-to-last foe standing. I repositioned, but he blocked my sword. I retaliated with a swift kick to the stomach, and he stumbled back. His eyes darted over his fallen comrades as he slowed back away. I pointed my sword at him, and he hastily disappeared into the forest, leaving his partners behind. Perfect timing, since I felt my focus spell wear off. Coward. A high-pitched scream came from the carriage, and I saw that the door was open. One of the armed men was escaping with the box. No!
Bring it.
Not while I'm around. He slammed the ground with his fist, causing the whole place to shake. I knelt down, covering my head as my sword clattered harmlessly onto the soil. My knees felt like they liquefied, and I had to use one hand to support myself. I couldn't move, and each shock only reinforced my terror.
Please stop.
Kerr, cease at once! Did Ilmari notice I was scared? The man tripped from the jolts, and the box flew out of his grip. It hit the rocky terrain with a clash, causing the latch to open. I forced myself to stand up, but I was unnerved from the tremors. Every step felt wobbly. Kerr focused on the almost thief, who also disappeared into the woods. By the time I got to the fallen objects, Ilmari was already scooping the items back into their coffer. I saw a few feathers sticking out. Perplexed by the wares, I reached out for the box, but Ilmari slammed it shut, his face pale. Ilmari? Phew, close it. It would have been unfortunate if it got damaged. Was it intact?
Of course.
Yes, nothing appears broken. Kerr chased off the remaining conscious opponents, and I carefully stepped around the supine ones. A few groans were emitted, but they probably wouldn't be up for a while. Ilmari handed the box to me, as if he was eager to get rid of it. Thanks. I'll return this to Mr. Auralee. I approached the vehicle and placed the box on the seat. The frightened merchant glanced up warily. We chased them off, whoever they were. He clutched the coffer, cradling it in his lap. Did you see what was inside? No, but I'm sure the contents are safe. I closed the door and promptly waved at the coachman to resume driving. I sheathed my sword, then rubbed my throbbing left hand, regretting my rash display before. Then again, it wasn't like I had the time to explain a punch, and Kerr caught on quickly. As we walked, I could feel the adrenaline rush leave me and fatigue creep up. I didn't think I'd do something like that so soon. I looked up to gauge the boys' expressions to see how they were faring. Kerr was positively beaming. Every strut screamed out his triumph. Ilmari had become oddly quiet, and he appeared lost in thought. I'll check on Ilmari. Whoop. Oh, I can go back. That's interesting. Ilmari still ruminated, and I paused until he caught up. Are you okay? You haven't looked well since the fight. Is it something you're not used to? It's not that,
well.
He fidgeted and rutted his upper arm as he contemplated something. You can talk to me if you want to. It's just... Auralee, do you know what the merchant is carrying with him? No, I don't. I admit I should have asked, but I was too focused on getting to Oliver. So, you don't know. Nope. The dark cloud of ambience that clung to him vanished instantly, and he sighed in relief.
Of course.
Ah, I see. Ilmari, what is it? And don't say it's nothing. When people say it's nothing, that usually means it's something. I looked at him beseechingly, and he squirmed under my stare. I could tell he wrestled with his answer. You're right. There is something nagging at me, but I don't want to be jumping to conclusions at this point.
I'm sorry.
Can I think about it and tell you later? I don't want to hide things, but I don't want to openly speculate unless I'm certain. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
It is. Thanks for not being completely evasive. But I do want to be told eventually. Should I demand to see what's inside the box? Let's just focus on the task at hand. Ah, you're right. We were ordered to supervise Kerr. We shouldn't sidetrack. Then let's get this carriage safely to Oliver and get paid. Pay. Money that is given for goods received, services provided, or work done. You sure learned quickly, and for a while I was worried.
I promise.
I promise it won't be trouble. I want to be useful.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ilmari. I leaned over and lowered my voice to a whisper. There's no one else following us now, right? We're safe. I'll be sure to tell you from now on if I hear something out of the ordinary. Whew, then onward it is. In a few days we would arrive in Oliver. I adjusted my bag and thought about the letter, eager to reach the guild.